In the words of Thomas, we back. We got podcast. Y'all know what time it is, man. It's us. We hanging out. We got a few guys that got technical difficulties. We already know what that is. That happens every week. But we got Ian and Chia. They on the road, so they're going to work with us. We're going to work with them while we got them online right now. But super excited for today. Before we dive in, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You know we're on Apple Podcasts. You know we're on YouTube. You know we're on Podbean. We're on a bunch of different places for you to go ahead and check us out and rock with us. If you're just kicking over from the last episode, you got to hear Jeff's spicy story. We loved it. You know, we got another special one for y'all today. This is actually the last intro. So after this, we jumping back into the other spicy topics, things related to PWIs, things related to life, things related to sports, stuff that we're interested in, man. And just know that it's all we got. We all we got. So that's what we're just going to continue to rock with. So before we get started, we're going to cheers like we always do. No matter whether you're drinking water, tea, I'm not going down the list like I always do. Just take cheers to life, success, happiness, enjoyment, and just being here one more time. So everybody cheers, whatever you're sipping on. Ian and Chia not allowed to cheers because they're in the car. And Tom is not allowed to cheers because he got technical difficulties. So here we go.
I got to drive after this, so
I'm back on that Bud Light. Hey, Jarwood, this is usually your happy hour time, ain't it?
no, it really is. But I got to drive to a city nearby after this. So you know what I'm saying, this is not happy hour.
Sneaky link.
But
Sneaky
just know
link.
every week that I'm on this podcast, y'all are interrupting happy hour. Just know that.
Well, we glad you spending your time with us, and we glad everybody else is spending their time with us too. Whether they skipping happy hour, whether they ignoring their baby mama, whatever it is they doing, we appreciate them being here with us. So
Or they
without further
listening to
ado,
us at happy hour.
yeah. Without further ado, Jarwood, the floor is
Hey.
yours, baby. Start off with like we always do, man. What brought you to Geneva? How you found out about it, and just get the listeners a little bit about you, man. It's all yours. Floor is yours.
All right, let me think about this. So I've been thinking. Well, I didn't been thinking all day, but like I really, in the last 2 minutes, was thinking, how am I gonna tell my story? Like, what is it? But no, kind of similar to Chia, not similar, but I'm also from the motherland. I'm from three countries originally in West Africa: Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Cote d'Ivoire. So every time I moved, just a little bit of background. Every time I moved from one country, it was because of a civil war. So you know what I'm saying, growing up, saw a lot of stuff, a lot of death, a lot of killings. But you know what I'm saying, God came through the U.S. as a teenager, moved to the Philly area. Shout out to Upper Darby. That's how I got that connection with Jeff. So yeah, so I moved to the U.S. Pretty urban area, but also the good thing about Upper Darby, it wasn't just like black people. You know what I'm saying? It was like, diverse. It was black, it was Asian, it was Vietnamese. Like my block was all Indian and Pakistani folks. So yeah, I would go to high school. Everybody, like, there was cliques of, like, you had the Liberian kids, you had the Indian kids, you had the Pakistani kids, the Vietnamese boys, the Chinese kids. So I just come from a very diverse background. What else is important about me too? Most important thing about my life is my faith. I do have a strong faith belief in the Lord Jesus Christ, which kind of ties into the whole Geneva thing, because the church I went to when I first moved to the States was the Presbyterian Church, not RP, not Reformed Presbyterian. I got to put the difference in there. It was a Presbyterian church.
Regular Presbyterian.
Regular Presbyterian, yeah. My dad's a pastor at that church as well. But like a few kids, like the older kids in that church, like one or two of them went to Geneva, and they told me a little bit about it. Seemed decent, but Geneva was not on my radar. I played sports all throughout high school. I was a three-sport athlete. I ran track, I played soccer, and I also wrestled. Um, but then, we're starting to talk, like, junior, senior year, looking at scholarships. I went up to Liberty University, which is another Christian school, but they're D1. Had talks with their coaches, all that to say. But then in my junior year, my best sport was track. I got an injury, so all those conversations low-key started to go away. I was still decent, but like not to the level that I was like projected to be. So like senior year, I switched up completely when I started looking at colleges, and I was like, yeah, I think, yeah, because, I'm a little built, you know what I'm saying? I got some muscles and definition, you know what I'm saying? I ain't all that, but I was something back then. I was developing. I was like, I was always fast. I used to play football at the park with the kids, and they're like, yo, you really got to try out for the school team. But I never did because I stuck with soccer. Uh, so I went to visit Geneva just because, like all them kids had told me about it. And then I saw there was a football table, and I was like, yo, what's the likelihood that I could play for y'all? And they're like, Yeah, come on through, because I think they're just taking anybody. They're like, all right, we could do something with this black kid. So yeah, that's kind of how Geneva kind of stuck in my mind. With the faith aspect, obviously, I thought I loved it. My parents really loved it. So yeah, come fall time, I went up there for football camp, and that experience, like we've talked about it in the previous episodes, how I met Ian off the bat, met Rashad later. Yeah, so like that was pretty cool because I mean it was decent. It was a new experience. Obviously, I was being introduced to like organized football for the first time. I'm saying I was starting to feel myself a little bit. Um, it was freedom. I was 17 when I went to college, so there was a lot going through my mind. I went in as an engineering major as well. I had a pretty strong like high school educational background. Like my grades were good, but I think I originally went into college kind of just wanting to do the most. It was my first time away from home. I had mom and dad to tell me what to do. So like we talked about before, the partying was there. The sleeping through your 8 a.m. engineering classes was there. I think the only classes I passed in the first semester was obviously Bible class because I knew that like the back of my hand, and I think I had an English class. Yeah, I did so well in that class because like I was always a good writer. I did so well that the teacher she really tried to play me, yo. She pulled me to the side one day. She was like, I just want to know, did somebody write this paper for you? And I was like, what are you talking about, bro? It's like she couldn't believe that like I have written the paper. I don't know if it's because I was black or like she didn't expect it from me, but she asked the other kids who wrote the paper, so that threw me off a little bit. But yeah, I think the English class and Bible and probably like learning and transition were the only classes I like really passed. Like got a bunch of D's and I think I failed chemistry. Yeah, so all that to say, at the end of freshman year, I had a 1.4 GPA. I had gotten hurt because what I'm saying they really abused me on scout team in football. Ian and I could talk about that all day. And so yeah, so I went home that summer really debating like, okay, do I really need to go back to this place? Because mind you, I'm from like the Philly area, right? My grades are good coming out of high school. I could have gone to Temple, which has the number 10 business school in the nation. I could have like applied to Villanova. My grades are good enough to get in there. I don't want to say I could have gotten into Penn. I probably wouldn't have tried that, but so like I really was starting to like think back. And obviously, once I got there, culture shock. I'm used to this like big old diverse environment that I went to high school in. Like any language, any culture you want to find, you can find it. When I went to Geneva, it was just Caucasian. So yeah, that threw me off a little bit. So yeah, that was a shock. But obviously, in my freshman year, I really got to bond with Ian and Rashad. Chia and myself, like we would hang out like because we were both international students and there was an international student group, so we would connect during that. But like we weren't as tight as we were until I think it was sophomore year at some point where Ian and Rashad left. So I was like, oh shoot, I'm out here by myself. Uh, so yeah, that's when Chia and I myself started really kicking it in conjunction with like the other international kids and stuff too. But and then Jeff and them came in that year as well. I remember I ran track. Um, so yeah, there's a few other like black folks on the track team, but it was definitely like a transition from having like these bros there that I did everything with, and that's the whole idea of like finding community, right? So from having them there, that we did everything together. We went to parties, we went to lunch, we went like our classes because we're engineering together as well, me and Rashad. So it was a big switch for sure. So I came back though. I think did I take a summer class? I did something where I was able to come back my sophomore year. Um, Made the best of it. Grades got up. I think towards the end of sophomore year, I was like, okay, this engineering thing's not working. Switched to business, international business. Really found myself in that. I think, oh yeah, freshman year, end of freshman year, got a girlfriend. So that also like provided something else to take my mind away from schoolwork. I remember on the weekends, yeah, that's when I really started liking country stuff. Yeah, because she lived like off campus, and so I remember the first time I went home with her, and her family had like a little campground place that they would go, just like a little A-frame with like mad load of acres, and I went four wheeling for the first time. Y'all was living my best life. You ever been four wheeling? Who's been four wheeling?
I've been four wheeling.
Okay, yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. I got on there, and it was my first time
Yeah,
ever
wasn't.
four wheeling. I don't know why her older brother let this girl get on the back of the four wheeler with me. Like he just trusted her life into my hands, and we were going on some like dangerous courses, like on the side of cliffs and stuff. I was like, "Bro, you sure about this?" But yeah, so I really started liking the out. Oh, that's another thing I was gonna say. So like when I left to go to Geneva, obviously lived in Africa, lived in Philly. So I obviously like those were not country experiences, but Geneva is in the middle of nowhere as well. Most of the people that went to Geneva were country as hell. So like that opened my eyes to like a different world out there too. So like nowadays I be listening to a little country music, but that college also does that to you. That like it opens your mind and exposes you to like stuff that you weren't exposed to before. Whether it's like the country people that are getting exposed to black kids, or like vice versa in our case, in my case at least. But yeah, so like I would go on the weekends with her. We spend time with the family, camping. But yeah, that was the one girlfriend. So then I came back sophomore year, and that's how I met Jeff and them because like they were there that year as well too. And then Thomas, was that your year? Was that Thomas's year, or Thomas was the year after that?
I didn't come in until y'all junior year.
Okay, yeah. So the year after that was so by junior year, I'm saying like I knew the lay of the land. I knew like my people. Junior year, I got another girlfriend because we would go to Ohio. So I would also leave campus on the weekends with that girlfriend. So I feel like I missed a few things here and there. But yeah, so that was my story. Kind of found my ground. These guys came back. Rashad and Ian came back. So we're all united, reunited. I'm saying that's when the shift team stuff started. We were like upperclassmen now. Like we knew our way around. But yeah, that's and then I graduated. In 4 years. Surprisingly, I don't know how, but somehow I got my grades back together, graduated, and then I moved out of state. I moved to Missouri, and I've been here ever since because I really like that country stuff. Apparently, so yeah, that's my
Yeah,
story, y'all.
my dog, my dog,
Bull.
my dog,
Go ahead.
Jarwood, my dog Jarwood was out there, dog. My man said, "Hey, freshman year, then sophomore year, then junior year, then senior." But hey, I'm not even thinking of that. You had mentioned something, man, and you kind of touched on it, so I figured we might as well go and jump into it. But real quick, Thomas out here giving us a tour of his crib, like this MTV Cribs, walking through the house, dog. We ain't asked to see all that. We ain't asked. But
Hey,
hey,
let's do
Jarwood,
the
I
work.
wanted to ask you, man, since you kind of touched on it a little bit, what was your impression on each of us when you first met us?
Yeah, no, for sure. Ian obviously was the first, and I was like, "Hey, yo, this is another black kid." Because I told y'all on a previous episode my first experience, so they put me in the room with like some weird boys, man. And then like this dude would hang out in his underwear. Didn't even play football, so I don't know why he was there early. So and then one other football player. So when they brought Ian down, I was like, all right, finally. And he's from Pennsylvania too. Like we were from around like the eastern Pennsylvania. He's central, but like I was like, we could relate to this. He was mad chill. So we got along from the get go. Next was Rashad. Yeah, so I was like, all right, this kid, same birthday, same like sports we played in college. I was like, all right, we'll complement each other well, and like we kind of vibed well too. So I was like confident in that from the start. Um, and then next was Chia. I was like, hey, like, you don't even know my excitement on this one. I was like, another African brother, finally, because I think we're the only two coming into like our class, the only two
Yeah,
African guys.
that
Yeah.
was it. We was the diversity at Geneva, bro.
I mean, there were African like Lumunga was in a class, right? She after us.
Yeah, I think that was like my junior year.
Oh,
The Mungo
really?
was definitely after us for sure.
Oh, dang, she's
Yeah,
young.
it
That
was
is
like
my year.
way.
But yeah, so I was like, oh
Yeah,
shoot, another African guy, West African too. Like, so we had that
my
connection.
brother.
Yeah, so I got hype about that. And the next was Jeff. Then we had that Philly vibe too. Like he came in with Cam and Kenan. But yeah, and then I found out later on that he got some Liberian connection too. So yeah, like I knew Jeff. Jeff was just chill, man. Jeff was like, yo. And as everyone has said, white people love Jeff. I was like, well, this dude got some. I couldn't find one person on campus that has anything bad to say about Jeff. Like I dare anyone to try.
Hey, that's facts right there. That's facts.
Nah, for real. Like maybe the 1X, but I don't know. I keep that out of there. But and then Thomas, he was a hoot, man. Thomas freshman year, we was doing all types of missions, left, right, center missions in Beaver Falls. So that was a little entertainment that came through, and then obviously like you would just be cracking up at the football practice. So yeah, we had that going too. But yeah, that was my impression of all of y'all at first. And y'all grew to be my brothers, man.
Thomas was
Hey, why you call that man Thomas a hoot?
No, I said Thomas was a hoot.
That's what I said. You call that man a hoot.
He's a good time. That's what I meant.
You call that ninja a monk. Ain't that
Nah,
what
Thomas the choo choo. Because I used to call him Thomas the trains. I used to Thomas the choo choo.
hey the
Pause.
Why-
Or
I think I
why-
only just got that now. You used to
Why-
say that, and I just went with it. The choo
Oh,
choo.
you didn't know what it meant?
I think I did. I probably forgot, but this definitely Chris.
But yeah, man, my story was my story at Geneva was pretty straightforward. Not too many twists and turns. So
I feel like you had a lot of twists and turns. Like, what you mean you ain't got no twists and turns?
yo.
I don't feel like there's much else to speak about. But like,
Can y'all hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Ian, why this man acting like he ain't had twists and turns?
Nah, ain't no twists and turns. I told y'all I dated 2 people officially on
There's
campus.
a lot of twisting and a lot of turning.
He out here like this, dog.
Nigga said.
I'm gonna call this
Rubik's
man. Hey,
Cube.
Jarwood, your new nickname for this show is Rubik's Cube. Man, you was twisting and turning, dog.
I wasn't doing none of that. Like I said, I was on a straight and narrow.
He was doing all of it.
Yeah.
Nah.
Hey, Jarwood lived out that.
Straight
Hey,
and narrow
Thomas.
down those train tracks.
Hey, Thomas.
Train
He called you a hoot, Thomas. He said you was a hoot.
I said it was a good time, Thomas. Like you brought fresh life to Geneva, like to our little group.
I don't think we'd have made it if I'd have stayed in Geneva longer than what I was supposed to. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that now. But it's not about me. I like how you kept your story PG though, because there was a lot of other stuff that you
You
got
remember
into.
stuff in my story, Thomas?
Oh, he
You
ain't
had
putting it in there. It's already in there.
you ain't talk about it, but you damn sure were gone from campus a lot of my freshman year. Like, motherfucker was never there on the weekend.
That's
Bro,
what
I
I
lived
said.
your freshman year, Thomas. Remember, this was the year Jarwood and I lived in the dorm. I
Yeah,
lived with this man and I never saw him, bro.
and he was never there. Friday come, he gone.
Gone.
I had responsibilities I had to take care of. Nah. But
let's
yeah,
call it that.
this
Yeah,
was.
that's
I
called
mean,
that.
so that time when I would go was like we all used to go party in Youngstown, Ohio, if y'all remember that. And this was a young lady
Never
I
forget
met in
it.
Youngstown. Huh?
I said I'd never forget it.
Yeah, that was so clutch. So yeah, this was this young lady I met. We kind of vibed. There were some twists and turns to that story, but we basically dated from my junior year all through my senior year, on and off. I must put that in the record, on and off. Yeah, but yeah, that's the
Hey,
thing.
Jarwood out here doing a 30 for 30. My man said I had one my freshman year. I had one my sophomore year. But junior year I had to go off campus.
Nah, but
Hey, no, Jarwood, man, you was cool, dude. You was cool. We had a lot of time. I don't know if you remember. Well, obviously, I think you remember, but y'all don't know this. But Jarwood came down to Fort Lauderdale a couple years ago, and we went down there and hung out for a little bit. Rained really bad,
it's
and then
like
I
2
took
years
this.
ago.
Yeah, I took this man down to South Beach first time, and we
Yeah,
hung out down to
shit.
South Beach, bro. It was a good time. We got in a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Ended up on the beach and stuff like that. It was a good time, man. Jarwood was a good time. But
I
hey,
could put one thing we did out there. We went skinny dipping in the ocean in South Beach.
pause.
Wait, what? Y'all was
Pause.
naked in the ocean?
Pause.
I'm joking.
That's
That
out
ain't
of pocket. Y'all
Hey,
was
Together?
different. Wait a minute. Y'all was on opposite sides of the beach, right?
No,
Nah,
I
it was
was
holding hands,
I
nigga.
try to
But
say we.
yeah,
I knew y'all had
pause,
some shit
bro.
going on, yo.
Pause, man.
It was a
Nah.
dare. It was a dare.
It
But
was a
hey,
dare
for both y'all to get naked?
I didn't dare this man.
Nah,
Listen,
not
we're
for
not
both
finna
of
get
us.
into that. We're not finna get into that.
All right.
Listen,
Next topic.
my
Next topic.
question to Jarwood was, coming from Africa, man, obviously English wasn't your first language, right? So,
It was.
well, it was? Okay.
Yeah.
But you speak multiple languages, right?
I speak English and French and Creole.
What was the adjustment like?
Yeah, okay, so that is a good ass question because I remember when I first touched down, right? I went to middle school. Obviously, like I spoke English my whole life. I speak great English. When I went to middle school, and this was back in the day where like being African wasn't cool. Like it just y'all just now got onto Afro beats and everybody wants to be African and go back home and all that. So we would get called booty
It's
scratchers.
been a lot in the making.
Yeah, nah. So like I survived through like the time where being African wasn't cool. You know what I'm saying? So these kids are really like try to like make fun of like my accent and how I talk and try to be like, huh? I'm like, yeah. So I remember vividly going home and like practicing how to talk like an American in the mirror. So like, yeah, I really like losing my accent took a lot of work and but like now I think about it, like why I have to do all that? Like I could still be out here talking to you guys like this with my African accent. Like I do not have to change it. Huh? I do not have to change it.
You do got to change it. You do got to change it immediately.
But now the code switch is real though. Like if my parents call me right now, like y'all have heard it when you're around. Like my parents call and I'm talking to them on the phone. Like it's right back to my original. Yeah.
Give
Default
me one of your
settings.
give me one of your favorite memories from Geneva College.
Favorite memories. Leaving. Nah.
This man said graduating and never going back to that bit.
Nah. We're going back this fall. Like, yeah, we might record a pod from Geneva. How about that?
I mean, let's do it.
We might
Yeah,
have to do
yeah,
a
we
day in
got
the
to.
life. I don't know about a pod. We might have to do a day in the life or something. We might go live. I don't know.
Okay, a little vlogging action.
Hey, but
But
also,
honestly, though, the best times is just really like when we were all just like kicking it, walking around Beaver Falls together. I remember once me and Chia, it was in a snowstorm, and Allie let us use her car, and we were driving
Oh
back.
gosh.
And yo, this car made a donut, and I was just like, yo, we out here risking our lives for haircuts, yo.
For a shape up, bro.
Yeah. So just little stuff like that.
hey,
And we
Mark.
just did the donut and just went about our day like nothing
Literally, the
happened.
car
Just
spun. We're like, oh, let's keep going.
yeah,
One
that's
memory I
it.
remember. I don't remember who was all there. I just know Jarwood and I were there, and Ian, you might have been there. And I don't know who was driving. I don't know. I don't remember whose car it was, but we got lost somewhere, and we ended up in this random parking lot. And Jarwood decided he wanted to try to race the car in the parking lot. I don't remember. Tell that story
Erica
because I don't
Ford. It
remember.
was Erica Ford's car.
It was just us four, right? It was me, you, Ian, and
Yeah.
Erica.
And then remember we tried to drive her stick shift car too.
No, I didn't. I knew I was going to jack it up.
I got the car to go like 10 feet. I was like hype. But yeah.
This nigga
Yeah, and
thought.
I remember when we went to Teal and like Will had a stick shift and we tried to drive that bad boy. We did not go nowhere.
Yeah, but I know how to drive stick shift now. I've been a whole truck driver ever since then. Yeah, like I was on the road truck driving, double clutching. So take me back there, and I bet you I know what I bet you I know what to do.
Hey, don't go into too much detail, but tell the people what you do now.
Well, I work for a bank. Yo, I'm saying, the glow up has been real. God is good. God is good. Oh, hey. Nah, but for real, I just remember coming back. Like, obviously, y'all know my origin story, like war, refugee, multiple times to where I am now. You know what I'm saying? Just very blessed, very privileged. I work in the financial services industry, mostly on the regulatory side. So my background's in auditing. So yeah, as much as like, sometimes y'all gonna hear me dog in the PWI institution that we attended. Um, I am glad for like what it's brought me, mostly in like friendship, relationships. It did not strengthen my faith, but ever since then, I've kind of like gone through the hard work of like rebuilding my faith and having a closer walk with the Lord. And also, you know what I'm saying, financially, I'm not balling, but like I'm exceedingly more than I could have ever asked for or imagined. Preach on that. Yeah.
My man said he ain't balling, but he get an extra sweet and sour sauce with his nuggets at
You know what I'm
McDonald's.
saying? I could take her
So
to the
as far as
movies. I could
Joe,
take
let
her to
me
the
ask you
movies
this.
and have her order a large. So that's where I'm at.
Do you think the international degree that we got from Geneva did anything for you? Do you think it helped you in the real world?
Which part of Geneva?
The international business degree that we got.
I mean, I think it could have been a degree from DeVry. It would have done the same thing, but no, the degree with the Geneva name in itself didn't necessarily do anything. But fun story, where I work right now, the first day I got hired, a manager reached out to me and he's like, "Oh, I see you went to Geneva College. My brother-in-law went there." I was like, "Huh, small world." But yeah,
I
yeah.
will
But
say,
no,
man,
obviously the
there's
Geneva
a
itself.
there's a lot of people that know about Geneva. I used to work in at the bank. I was a personal banker for a couple years, and being a banker, obviously having a desk and stuff like that, people would walk up and they would see, or know that I went to Geneva, and they'd be like, "Oh, I know of Geneva," and I'm like, "Dude, how do you know of this small school?" So like, it's crazy. But I did want to ask you too, man. You said you had a Presbyterian background as far as church goes. What was the adjustment like now going to a RP, Reformed Presbyterian, kind of faith-based institution? And what was that faith-based experience like for you?
Yeah, no, I think I should have touched on this a little more. But like, obviously, like my faith is something that's always been strong and focal for me. So like, I've always been used to like, because I said my dad's a pastor growing up. Like, faith has always been something that's like intertwined with your life. It's not for show. It's not like you're doing all this A B C D to show that you're a Christian. So like when I went to Geneva and it was like all these rules and all these like not necessarily the rules, like I don't mind the rules per se, but just like these things that felt like superficial and not like more geared towards like a more like like real and like personal faith life. I just felt like, okay, this is all show, this is all like platitudes, this is all just outwardly actions that to me don't translate necessarily to demonstrating like a personal walk with the Lord. So to me, that really just turned me off. And obviously, being that and like, having the personal freedom to myself, and I kind of went off a little bit, you know what I'm saying, in more ways than one, just kind of like put that to the back burner while I was there and just rejected it as a whole. But after that, ever since, been on my own, did the work, rediscovered it for myself, and yeah, happy to be like back to a great place with my faith. But yeah, Geneva wasn't doing it for me faith wise. It was just too showy, if that makes sense.
Definitely, for sure. And we touched on this a lot in Jeff's episode, man. But tell us a little bit about, you said you excelled in sports in high school, right? And you had this opportunity. You decided to go to Geneva for football. What was that experience like playing ball up there? You said you went to the table, asked them if they would let you play. So what was that experience like up there, man, for you?
See, I don't even like talking about the sports part because, like, I don't want to be like the salty dude that, I'm saying, didn't make it. So, obviously, like, myself, and Ian came in playing football at the same time. I thought I had skills, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't catch to save my life, but, like, I feel like if somebody was as fast as I was, like, you could find something for them to do, man. But I feel like, in training camp, I did my thing. I did what I needed to do in training camp. Got a little buzz, but then I just never transferred into the season because I think for one, I definitely was not going to be no starter because G was there. But I don't know. I felt like maybe I had some potential that wasn't tapped, but also like, I mean, I put myself in the coach's place. It's like, why should they? Because they didn't spend no money recruiting me. They didn't go on no visits recruiting me. So why should they like put time or attention into this person? But I feel like it was a wasted opportunity. But yeah, after 2 years of just doing that and not really, like it's D3. I'm not doing nothing with this. I'm getting hurt playing scout team. Like, so yeah, I decided to go play rugby where I really, did my thing. But yeah, even track, man, I just was not the same person in track that I was in high school. So like that, after 1 year, that took the love out of it for me. So I put that on the back burner too. But yeah, I have been playing rugby, joined a couple intramural soccer teams, and then I told you I was going on the weekend. So that was about it.
Yeah, you was going every weekend. Hey, what's
Yeah.
the biggest difference you think between high school sports and college sports?
Well, at the D3 level, not much. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I think for real though, like, cause you're managing, like, you still got to do your classes, especially at D3, where like, you know what I'm saying, they're not paying somebody to do your homework for you. At the D3 level, like you have to manage those grades because they will pull you and put you on the sidelines if you're not, getting those grades. Yeah, so it's like you're your own personal manager. You got a full time job going to school, but you also got a full time job playing sports, and which is where like it came to me like at the point like it wasn't worth it. Like I don't see where this is going. I'm not getting no fulfillment out of this. So y'all could keep the politics. I'm gonna just go to school and go have fun. So yeah. But yeah, we're in high school. It's like, you get to leave your class early. Your teachers understand, kind of stuff like that. But college is a little different.
Yeah, college they'll have you take a class during your practice. Hey, Thomas was getting ready to say something about sports related to college. Oh, dang, we lost Thomas. He'll be
This
back.
man said, "Nope, I plead the fifth."
Yeah, that man was getting ready to say something, bro. Right? I can't. I'm mad.
Got
I'm mad
out
he
real
left.
quick.
Yeah,
I'm not,
Thomas.
I'm not
Thomas
mad
got up
about the
out of
whole
there.
thing, but yeah. Oh, he come back.
Hey, Thomas. I want to hear your take. You were getting ready to say something when Jarwood said something about sports, man. I want to hear your take on it. First, you gotta get off mute. And first and second of all, you look like a shadow. But turn a light on, bro.
Is that a black joke? Yeah.
That man Thomas looked like an unlocked character.
That's just said proceed through the story to unlock.
You got to reach a certain achievement to unlock Thomas. Man.
I'm really trying to hear what he has to say because I feel like like I heard Thomas episode, I was like, no, I'm not gonna go that hard. But like obviously, like I wish it could have materialized to more, but I still had the good experiences from it. But
Nah, I feel you though. And another thing, like I didn't think about it until like now. It's like in high school, most coaches have like regular jobs. Like in college, like those coaches, like that is like their job, unless they're like a professor too. So like
they be
they
on you.
probably are less likely to take risk, I guess. I don't know. Even
I
if it
know.
is stupid, that's probably just their way of thinking.
Especially at a small school like ours, man. Like for football, like they really like put a lot of stake on that football team. So like them guys took it like hella serious. So like that's why I could see why they weren't gonna take no chances on never played in high school guy or even So I don't know. No regrets though. Like I'm glad I had that experience. But yeah, wouldn't do it again.
They definitely do take it serious. I coach at a high school, like a lot of you guys know, and just seeing some of the guys I worked with getting a lot of buzz from these Power 5 schools. This kid I was working with last season, he graduated going to Illinois. He had so many different college coaches coming there, and it's like, dude, they pay for them to fly out. They get them and put them in hotels, or they drive depending on how far away you are from the campus and stuff like that. And they put a lot of money and resources into recruiting. Like it's a big deal.
No, for sure. Like in the town I lived in Missouri, like this small. I mean, it's a capital, but like, Nick Saban flew his private jet. Well, he didn't fly. He had a pilot fly. Like to this, he didn't spend more than like 2 hours in the town, but just like touchdown, went and talked to this kid, flew out. I'm like, you know how much that costs to do that, bro? So yeah, it's a different level. But
yeah, I hear you.
There's a kid out here. He went to Lehigh High School. I'm not gonna give him no shout out. This is our podcast, but he actually same thing. Kirby Smart flew out here on this helicopter. Like you said, he didn't pilot it, but Kirby Smart they landed the helicopter in the yard at the school to come try to recruit this kid, and he ended up signing to Alabama, big time school. But kid was pretty good. He was one of the top 3 running backs in the nation. But you're right, man. It's crazy just to think about how much goes into recruiting of young athletes and stuff like that. So it's hard. But then it makes you think like how many guys just slip through the cracks. Like how many guys just don't have the exposure in high school, or they don't have the wherewithal. Maybe their mom or dad didn't play Division I sports, so they didn't play college sports at all. And for my example, my mom didn't play sports in college, right? And my dad wasn't in the picture, so my mom tried to do the best that she could, but she just didn't know. I think that for us now we have you can say, oh, we went to a D3 school, we didn't go Power 5 D1, but now we have an insight into what recruiting is like, period. So, if we're ever fortunate enough to have kids, I know Thomas got a JIT, but if we're fortunate enough to have kids, we can kind of steer them in that direction if that's something they're interested in. We can say, hey, this is kind of what you can expect. This is what you should be looking into. This is what you should be looking for, like whether it's camps or filling out questionnaires or just trying to take unofficial visits to see the campus and stuff like that. but they do spend a lot of money in recruiting, man. And it's, I just feel like some people just don't get that exposure sometimes.
No, it really is. Like
Yep.
obviously, I mean D3 is it's a smaller version of like what them D1 schools we do, but still, like we do have the tools. Even with the college education, man, like we just setting ourselves up. And I'm glad all of us stuck through it, and like well, let me finish. To a certain extent, like have made like something out of ourselves, like whether it was like finishing, or just like using that and like propelling ourselves to the next level in life. You know what I mean? So because like now we got tools to get like that's like that generational like building upon it, So yeah, I'm here for it, man. And I was like literally every time we all link up, I'm like, yo, my nigga's doing good, man. It makes me happy. Yeah.
I will always tell guys too, and I know we went to a D3 school, but there's no for anyone that's watching this that doesn't have the D1 offer, you don't have the NAIA, you don't have the D2 offer, anything like that. There's a lot of good Division 3 programs out there, and don't think that just because you play Division 3, you can't play college football. There's a lot of great athletes that play Division 3 football for one reason or another. There was a kid that went to Frostburg that played receiver, and he was one of the best athletes I ever went up against or saw on the field. There was a kid that also played running back for Frostburg that transferred from a Division 1 program. A lot of these coaches, man, when they coach Division 3 and they're trying to work their way up the ranks, so they run it like a Division 1 program. Or they're coaches who coach Division 1 and then they just want to be in their hometown with their family. They find a nice situation that they love, but they still run it like a top notch program. So obviously our experience was pretty unique, but I would say to anyone like student athletes that's watching this, just because you're getting interest from a Division 3 program, that doesn't mean to turn it down and say, "Oh, I'm too good for Division 3." You'd be surprised. There's guys that could play all over the place.
It's
No, for
true.
sure. Oh shoot, yo, I ain't even put it out there, yo. My freshman year of playing football, I didn't even put my stat out there. I got my claim to fame. Okay, I averaged the most yards per carry freshman year that we played. Okay, so put that on. We ain't gonna talk about the details, but
What you average 8 yards?
9 yards per clip, bro.
Yeah.
On that one clip.
How many carries you
Nah, but like to me, that's just saying that like y'all was sitting on this potential the whole time, like and like no one thought like let's find a way to use this. So, but anyway, but then I guess once someone's gonna ask me like if you could do it over, would you go to that particular school?
I was gonna ask you that.
I guess I mean if you factor in that I met y'all, I would say yeah. But like if you take that outside the picture, I think really when picking a school, just like think about I don't know, take a visit. You can't really get a full like feel for a school just by like an official visit, but you also know
had?
like you can transfer. So I mean, just go with where you feel most led to. Like obviously, like financial is like a big thing now. So like I'm still in debt from Geneva.
Me
Yeah.
too, man. And them
So
student
yeah, it's
loans
gotta
trying
be a
to kick back
combination of
in.
like what you said.
I said, and them student loans about to kick back in.
Whew, yeah, we ain't even gonna talk about. I'm mad at Biden. Like, never mind. Never mind. We ain't gonna go down the politics route, but it's a combination of like where you feel at home. Like sometimes you get that feeling inside, but just don't go anywhere out of desperation of like where you feel like it's a big name, so I gotta go there. Just go with like a combination of things like the cost, what makes more sense for your degree. Don't just be chasing a name or whatever. So,
If you had a
but
kid right now, 17 years old, they're getting ready to graduate high school, going into their senior year, and they're interested in Geneva or Geneva's interested in them, would you let them go? What would you tell them?
I mean, if they're 18, they can do what they want. But I would say let's visit other schools because whatever you're looking for at this particular school, I bet you we can find it elsewhere for cheaper and for potentially a better overall experience. But I mean, if at the end of the day that's where they want to go, the last choice is going to be them. But I do think like I didn't visit too many. I visited a few like Penn State, Penn State Beaver. I mean not Penn State Beaver. Penn
Hmm.
State, whatever the one is like close to Philly or whatever.
Brandywine or whatever it is.
Brandywine, there
Yeah, I
you
know what
go.
you're talking about.
Yeah. Westchester was another one that I could have gone to. They're D3 as well, but yeah. So I definitely feel like I could have taken my time. I should probably go on community college and transfer to Temple, but that would
They
have been
say you
the
should have
smart
went.
thing.
They say you should have went JUCO. Hey, the
Yeah.
stat still is alive, man. Less than 10% of high school football athletes end up playing college football at any level, and
No,
that's
definitely.
JUCO, NAIA, D1, D2, D3. So it's still a blessing, man. The fact that you even had the opportunity to be on the roster and even get the carry, you know what I'm saying? Get those 9 yards
Oh,
is
for sure.
over 90% of kids will never get that opportunity to even step foot on that field. So
Hey,
it still speaks to your talent, man. Still
I
speaks
still
to it.
got some years of eligibility, man. Don't put me out, I might go back get a master's real quick. Hop on the field.
I would pay to
That,
see that. I would pay for the ticket.
Hey,
hey,
I'd
they
pay
had
to
a
see that.
40-year-old on the basketball team.
He
I
was
forgot
getting buckets,
his name.
wasn't he?
He was
what?
all right.
That's like a 40-year-old that played football too, right? A couple of years later.
Probably.
I don't remember. Maybe.
Hey, Jarwood, did you deal with anything? We talk about this in other podcasts. Racially, being a young black man,
So
what
I
was
must
the
I must
race
say
experience like?
this. So I am black, but prior to that, I'm African. So like we just put our head down and we grind. So I've always said this. I'm like I didn't ever myself perceive any situations that were like racially discriminatory because um, the way I was brought up is like you got to smack me in the face with that racism for me to really feel it. So it can't be like was that racist? Like so I never really felt oh never mind. I was gonna say I never really felt like directly like someone really come up to my face and I really never understood because like I don't necessarily have I give people benefit of the doubt. But now that I'm saying this story, the one girl that I
Mm-hmm.
did date junior and senior year, I don't know if I ever told y'all this, but like, we'd we'd go to her house every weekend. She would come up to campus a few times. Y'all met Kayla, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Jeffy would have met her,
Oh,
but
Tom is shaking his head like, hell yeah, I met
Thomas
Caleb Long.
did.
Thomas, you met Kayla? Where'd you meet Kayla? Now finish my story.
Hey,
I told you I was around, so I met her one time. Granted, I only seen her in passing. We didn't really have conversation or whatnot, but she would just give looks when she would come around, and then y'all would just.
She would get some dirty ass looks. But okay, so in these 2 years, so after we graduated, also she moved to Missouri as well. That was a whole other story. But in this 3.5
oh,
years that we dated, in these 3.5 years, me and her dad never spoke once because he didn't want her dating a black guy. He said that exclusively, and I was like, oh shoot, this
is her
racism
dad
stuff is real, huh?
is
Yeah.
her dad Donald Sterling?
Yeah.
We won't get
Is he
No.
wearing a lot of Clippers gear?
it. Does he live in Los Angeles?
You know
That's wild, though.
they called you.
You know what's crazy though? Like I was an usher in her brother's wedding, and like me and this dude had to sit there and take family pictures together, and like still no word, bro. I was like, yo, this is wild, yo. Your daughter, and they were from like some little podunk town in Ohio. I was like, yeah, your daughter could be doing a lot worse, man. And like, I'm like, just because I'm black, like you're like, but yeah, that was just crazy. 3.5 years, never a word to each other. Um,
Man.
yeah. So thankfully, her mom and her dad were separated, so like we would spend time with her mom, and she really didn't have any problems like that.
It looks like we got Chia back. What's up, Chia?
Hey,
Hey, we mentioned in the beginning we got Chia and Ian. They both in the car on their way to do something fun because that's what we do. We do stuff fun. I think they're gonna be hanging out together, but that's why they got a little technical difficulties. They kind of in and out. They kind of in and out, but it's all good. It's all love. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? It's
yeah.
all love. Hey, I know we joke with you, man. We talk about different stuff, but explain what the dating scene was like. Not the dating life. Obviously, you had a girlfriend a couple years, but what was the dating scene like at Geneva? Like when you came up there, based on what you were accustomed to, women that you might have dated or had been interested in high school or leading up to that point. What was the dating scene like for you at Geneva itself? We know Jarwood loved that white girl, but
Nah, I was about to say I came into college with a, a girlfriend who was black. That's
oh
why when
shit,
during your episode when you said you said they love her, I was like, I feel like that was. I mean, I was just doing with what my environment gave me. Speaking of Geneva, It's like you go to a Chinese buffet, you're not gonna ask for soul food. You know what I'm saying?
You know they be got them. They be having them chicken wings though. They
I'm
be
about
having
to say
chicken
the
wings
chicken
though.
We
wing,
do
but
be having them wings.
that's a whole other story. But yeah, nah. So I mean, Geneva was very limited. So we joke about. I don't know. Do we have a dating episode? But we talked about this thing, which we could talk about it later as our Geneva goggles. And so it's not. I mean, I think everybody's beautiful in their own way. God's creation is beautiful, but we definitely had to give a little grain of salt from what I was accustomed to. And I was like, okay, because I went to high school with 4,000 kids, and I went to Geneva. I had like 1,500 to 2,000 people, so like the variety was not present. But it was difficult to find, like people that I typically were drawn to or attracted to. So I think like maybe that was a good thing for me because like I started falling in love with personalities and like uh, people's character and
It sounded like Jarwood killed it during the
He was ugly
pandemic.
as hell. So
Jarwood
once you put
killed it
them
during the
Geneva goggles
pandemic.
on, you good.
He said, "All I can see is her eyes. Let me learn about her personality." It was
Yeah,
just,
she could do my homework. Nah, nah. But
that is
yeah.
true, man. I remember we used to have those conversations. We'd be like, "Man, every time I go back home and I come up here, I gotta drop my standards again." You say it all the time. Hey, she's a 5, but with my Geneva goggles on, she like a 7.5.
Like yeah, once you get on campus, like you gotta give a +2 to everybody. But like I said, I don't know if they're thinking the same thing about us, but like that's just like in our inner talks like we would have. Attraction is relative, right? I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, but
Hey, there's this one picture, man. I remember Jarwood and we was looking swole. We was in it was our freshman year. We were in
making
the
Oreo balls,
girls
remember?
dorm. Yeah, we were making
Pause.
Oreo balls
Pause.
and pause. I don't know why we were there. I don't know who we were there with, but we were in their kitchen, in the common area kitchen, not their actual dorm room kitchen, and we were making these Oreo balls just as freshmen young men.
That was like our level of fun. Like other people were having bangers their freshman year. We're making Oreo balls in the
making
girls' room.
Oreos.
We were making Oreos. Some people were going to parties and ragers. We were making Oreo balls.
But I do gotta say though, because like I gotta give credit to like where credit's due. Like like you had like me and Chia were friends with Allie. Like we all were friends with like Malia. These are people probably like grew up like seeing one or two black people their whole life. Um, these are, but then they like really got cool and like were open to the idea of like being friends with us. Like me and Ian went home with Malia. That was the most random thing. Yeah, she lived in like, and I talk about going to the country, but like she lived in like the country. Like me and Ian hung out in a barn with her. Like you ain't never gonna talk about it, but I'm gonna put it out there.
Hey, I'm mad that's just coming up now, and I'm also mad I never knew about that.
Yeah, it
Right.
really was a thing. Like we were driving in the back road. I don't know why. Like once they get in the back roads, like dirt roads, they just get the urge to drive crazy. And this girl ran into like the side of the road, like we about crashed. Yeah. So yeah,
Like a test with the white women.
I mean, I did. Yeah, and too bad. Like I think it's a good thing the movie Get Out didn't come out before I went to college because my dating would have been a whole lot more different. Yeah. I think about all the situations I was in. I was like, yo, like this is sketchy. I was in that little Ohio country town with the dad that didn't want his daughter dating a black guy.
They was
Like
trying to get you out of here.
I
Yeah,
put
they
two and two
was.
together. Yeah.
They say, "Oh, you're fast. Got something for your
Like
ass."
let's see how you can outrun this good. Like
Right.
And we joke about Thomas's story all the time. Like when we first met him, we took him downtown. Let me hear your perception of what that was like when you was hanging out with us three acting reckless. It's probably gonna be news to Jeff.
It is.
Thomas can't
It
wait
is.
for this shit, dog. Look at the man
yeah.
clapping.
No. Yeah.
Thomas out here
That
clapping with his wrists. I ain't never seen that before.
that was.
Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, no, that was between that and no, that was different because like I mean we all like we're hanging out with these young ladies and like all like partnered up real quick. I don't know, it just happened organically or whatever. I'm still mad at Thomas for giving up Nissa. Like she was a good human. Like I wasn't like on that attraction level of her, but like I just like admired her as a person. I was like, yo, Thomas came up. But yeah, no, it was cool because like we were off campus. Like I probably was missing sleep to go to practice the next day or whatever. But I think it was just like Ayo. Like we talked about the selection at Geneva was not a lot. There weren't like too many women that looked like us that we were interested in. It's like to go off campus and to be like having a car, having a spot to kick it with these girls, to just be like, yeah, it's like we were kids again. So it was a good ass vibe, yeah.
All I'm gonna say is, Jeff, a couple days in that house, there was some powerful niggatry going on. That's all I'm gonna say.
Powerful niggatry.
Hey, Thomas, am I lying? Am I lying, Thomas?
Strongest
Not at
potato.
all. And the crazy thing about it is,
I think when
he
I
got,
came back to campus, I was like,
Oh,
whoa.
he
oh,
got through
wait,
twice.
what'd you say, Thomas?
Jarwood got through the door twice, not with just the first one, the second one too.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Jarwood had what?
This is news to me.
Yeah. For the longest time, I was trying to piece it together. Then, like towards the end, it made. So it wasn't just the one whose name starts with an S. You also, if I'm not mistaken, you got the Q one too.
Did you get the Q?
Yeah,
No, no,
yeah.
you got a little
It,
confused.
You
la.
definitely had the S because you talked about that.
Yeah.
The,
Well,
the
we were
S
there for that.
the
Yeah,
S
we were
was
there for that.
there. The Q
You even
was
commented on the S. Jarwood made a comment about the S. I ain't never heard Jarwood say before about the S.
oh dang. Yeah, I don't remember that comment. But no, basically this is a young lady who is doing really well for herself now. She I don't know, for some reason I wasn't into it then, but she wanted it bad. But like I wasn't feeling it at the time. But yeah. That's what you remember, Thomas.
Like flex.
Look. I believe what I see. I didn't see it, so I can't clarify or verify. But I was trying.
I would have hold it back. I would tell you.
Look, hey, it is what it is. We was all wild and reckless, so we was doing what we was doing. But I just knew that you had, you seized the moment on both occasions.
I don't know what
Hey,
you
y'all gotta check the chat. Y'all gotta check the chat.
Let me check the chat. But
I'll never forget that comment. I know Thomas remember that.
hey, good times were had. Good times were had. But yeah, Shorty ended up going to Philly too. She went to, was it Cheney? Yeah, she went to Cheney.
Somebody went to Kent, and then somebody else was going somewhere else.
S was Cheney, Q was
Yeah.
Whatever
But
happened
yeah,
to S? Is S still alive?
She
S is alive. Yeah.
she got a daughter, 3 or 4 year old daughter. She was staying in Alaska for a little bit too, though.
Dang,
Alaska?
Yeah.
Hey, no, that's not random because I'm still friends with Q and I'm still friends with K on the book. So, but I've never.
Q for sure. Yeah.
I don't remember anything about S.
Yeah, that was random, man. Because like after that was nothing.
Oh, they all kind
I
of.
think I was like, I had enough of this niggatry.
Jeff, it was powerful.
Powerful. That's wild, yo.
Like
I hate to be the neighbor powerful niggatry though.
Y'all know what I forget about sometimes, yeah? The house down the street, where it was like all them girls living. They used to throw parties sometime.
Are you talking about Ellie and them?
Ellie and yeah.
I don't think I was there for that.
Yeah.
It was Ellie.
Wasn't that like Melody's house?
Yeah, Ellie, Melody,
Melody lived there?
Lisa.
Melody who?
Shit, I
I
can't
don't think Melody lived there.
the
I
dark.
remember one Melody and that ain't that. She ain't live there.
Melody, okay. So I was doing stuff with Melody. Oh, okay.
They had that basement where kind of where the parties would take place.
Stuff happened in that basement for sure.
Hey, that basement looked like a dungeon. I ain't gonna lie.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you this right now. That's the one thing and living in Florida that I miss, man. Basements. We ain't got no basements. I feel like crazy stuff happens in basements. So what you gonna do that shit in the attic? Nigga, you can't do that shit in no attic.
Fall fucking ceiling.
Don't even sound right.
I've seen people they got man caves upstairs. That ain't no cave, nigga.
That's a man loft.
Right.
They got a man upper room.
Right.
Man cave, man.
I wouldn't call myself a simp, but I remember after the parties, I would stick around and help clean up. I was like, why was I doing that?
Because you was a
I was
simp.
always doing that.
That was Might have got that.
I remember going back the next day and helping them clean up. Like I remember walking was one girl back to her dorm, and I really wasn't even trying to get nothing out of it. I was like,
Just a
no,
stand-up guy, Jarwood.
mama raised me right.
Hey, let's all applaud for Jarwood right now, real quick, dog.
No, but I'm
He's a
just
real
saying, though, like,
stand-up guy, dog. I want to be like you when I grow up, even though I'm older.
okay, so I feel like I tell that story, but I should talk about train tracks.
You should talk about train tracks.
Nah,
Speaking of train tracks,
Or Teal.
no,
since you brought that, or Teal,
or Teal.
Red Jarwood.
or the question I told you I was going to bring up during your podcast.
Wait, what happened at Teal?
No. You got one or three options. You got train tracks, Teal, or the Forbidden Forest of Harry Potter. You got to pick which one.
Wait,
you
help
want to
me
talk about.
remember Teal.
What's it called? It was an MGK concert, like at Teal, and then we all stayed at Teal the rest of the night. It was me, you. I think it was me, you, Chia, and
I thought you had me thinking I was doing some ratchet stuff in Teal.
Oh no. It wasn't like too crazy.
Oh yeah, we can talk about Teal all day. Yeah. No,
Jarwood said we ain't talking about the other
evaded.
that man Jarwood.
What that forbidden forest story? We use.
There's a forest story.
I called the Forbidden Forest. It's the one thing you said you'd never talk about.
Hey, I already told you I'm taking it to the grave. So we could talk about the train tracks. Everyone knows that Geneva, the train tracks is where kids will go to
I never
make
went.
out.
Time out. Jeff, you ever went to the train tracks?
Nah.
Thomas, you ever went to the train tracks?
Soccer field.
Chia, you ever go to the train tracks? Maybe I'm assuming not. I know Ian ain't go to the train tracks. So don't say Geneva kids went to the train tracks, nigga. You went to the train tracks.
It was just a secluded area where you finally got privacy, like, you know. So.
Oh, so now so now he want to disconnect when we start talking about the train tracks. That man text somebody, said unplug the Wi-Fi router right away. They brought up the train tracks. God damn it. The train tracks are here.
Powerful niggatry right now.
Powerful niggatry going on right now.
How we really
we
lost. Damn.
Man, get out of there.
Dang,
man.
I tried to pack him up.
That joint started getting spicy too. It's crazy because we almost at the end of the podcast too. Hey, he back.
Oh, he back.
Now let's hear about the train tracks, nigga.
Yeah.
We ain't forget.
I was saying, I think, my connection didn't want y'all talking about the train tracks, but no, there really is nothing. I mean, every once in a while, when you want to, like, you know, have privacy with a particular person, you know, saying you just take a walk by the train tracks and you get privacy, and yeah. That's the kind of things for people listening that you got to do in these small schools with all these rules. Whereas if you're at a regular school, your dorm's cool. Like, ain't no rules about who you can have in your dorms and all that. So, yeah. The train tracks is what I had to resort to. I don't know about what they did.
You making us sound a lot more ratchet than you, dog. You making it sound like we ain't give a damn.
I took wholesome walks by the train tracks.
Bullshit.
Wholesome,
yeah. Just
shit wholesome about that.
I'm about to say, take the sum off of that.
Yeah. A whole lot of holes going down there, man.
Nah. But that really wasn't all that. It's just like it would take a while to walk down there and walk back up. That's why it made it seem like I was going forever. But yeah.
Nah, that won't it. Soccer field.
This man really trying to skate by on that.
But one of my favorite memories too was also like the two times we performed at MGN. Like that was always lit. Like the one where we did like a full band. They had a violin on there. They had trumpets on there. Like that was lit. So yeah.
Hey, yeah, just got to the hotel, but yeah, that's top 5 memories.
Hey, you got any questions, Chia?
Shit, not really.
Alright, good.
Not only on the air.
This man said, "Good, thank you, God." Holy shit.
Yeah, I will bring this up. I don't know, might be out of pocket, but at that time, like for a very short time, Jeff had like a very short thing with the little John that worked at the multicultural office. What was her name? Because we had to perform together.
Who had a
Thank
thing? Jeff had a
Her
thing
name
with
was
her.
Kristen.
I did.
Yeah.
Why is it the only person I remember from that office is Bridget? And she's the only person.
Jesus.
It's the only one I remember, dog.
Nah, it was the
Wait, I don't
little,
remember Jeff and Chrislyn.
not Chrislyn. I don't even know a Chrislyn. Never mind.
Hold on.
I just don't remember.
It was just because we had to like get together to practice a whole bunch.
I can't even say wrong black guy because like this really was it. Like it's just wrong black guy.
Only six more of us.
I can't. Joe, who was the chick we performed airplanes with?
Kristen? No, Chrislyn?
I think it's Chris. Whoever that person was, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't remember Jeff having stuff with her.
I'm not even gonna lie. I thought Lisa was the person that sung during y'all airplanes.
Dang,
I feel you talking about. No, I wasn't talking to her. Not like that.
Not like that. Nah, I remember it was just like because we was hanging out with her a bunch, and it was like, man, is there something here? But there wasn't.
yeah, her name was Kristen.
Okay, that's what it
Not to
was.
be out here name dropping, but yeah.
I was probably trying to.
That's what we do in this podcast, man. We name drop, dog.
Wait till we get to the most hated person. That's
Ooh.
Who's that?
Who's that?
We all had our own person that we did not like or didn't fuck with. But we'll save that for another time.
I brought mine up in my episode. I was trying to stab yo.
I literally got to think like,
Faster now that you do it.
Nah, like I said, we had our own person. We all had our own reasons, but like I said, we'll get into that later on down the road because
I had someone I didn't like because I thought I ain't gonna get into that why, but I did have someone I didn't like.
Definitely.
But he cool though. That's the thing. I just ain't like him for my own reason.
Y'all gonna have to think about one for me because I don't know who I don't like.
I thought I was gonna have to put hands on Buddy before I left, and it just kind of died down after that.
As most things do. That's why nobody need to be fighting out here. Most things just die down on their own.
Nah, I think y'all told me to chill. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Jeff that told me to chill out. Like it won't worth it.
I'm trying to remember who it is.
We just have to save it for the episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't even remember where the shit came from or where it started. But it got to a point to where we was gonna have to throw hands, and I was just like, nah, just let it go.
Think about it. Remember it for the episode.
Hey Jeff, you seen that in the chat?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I had my reasons to believe it.
Yeah, I could believe that too.
Yeah. And fun fact, because y'all know, fun fact, I'm not going to drop names. Since we're doing initials. When Jay and I were dating a couple years ago, she told me that a lot of the things that I thought were rumors were true. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all I'm gonna say. She said she didn't say anything because she didn't feel like it was her place. It's like, damn, nigga, we was friends. We came in as freshmen together. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want a brother?
Gotta let people see the light on their own.
But goddamn, sometimes you gotta put the light bulb in their face.
Right.
Man, I couldn't see the light. I was in a dark room. They ain't even walk me out the room or nothing. They just left me in there.
That's crazy.
Hey man, y'all anybody got any other spicy questions for Jarwood? He trying to keep it PG, man. I'm mad at you, dog.
I'm a simple man.
Hey, you lucky. Hey, I will say this. You're lucky that all 6 of us, I know Ian's not on here and Chia, we can't see his face. You lucky that all 6 of us didn't come in as freshmen.
Oh boy. Man. Boy.
That'd have been wild.
Because if this man Thomas was there for all of our time there,
the whole bro, we got kicked out.
This man came in and brought you brought the savagery out of us for some reason. That first year, you just got
no. We was already savages.
I just added to it.
But it was a different level of savage.
He just made sure we ain't forget about our savagery.
Right.
Because we were starting to grow up and mature.
Exactly. Girlfriends and whatnot, and it was just like, can't do that no more. Like, all right, fuck.
Yeah, you caught me at a good time, bro.
Then come back. year to see y'all. Everybody want to party and go everywhere. Like, what the fuck was this at last year?
Yeah, I was out here buying pet fish from a girlfriend at the time. I was out there. I was not in the streets, dog. I was not in the streets, man. I was out of
But
there.
then I do wish that Thomas, after hearing your story, that you would have told us more about what was going on. Like we could have like probably like I don't know, talked you through a different route. I don't know.
I told y'all towards the end of the year, and I don't remember, but I could have sworn. But one of y'all was like, yeah, that's why you should have just stayed with us. You should have just stayed hanging with us, and you wouldn't be going through the shit that you going through right now. And I was like, you know what,
But we ain't even know about the shit you went through, even if you was
I
doing
would have
your
told
own
you to get a
thing.
paternity test like right up front. Like I don't know. Like,
Yeah, facts.
That's
I'd be like, yeah, the math ain't mathing. Like let's count here real quick.
Jarwood can have a chick locked in a cage, be the only one sleeping with her for a year. She get pregnant, and this man still be like, "We need a paternity test."
How you know, bro? Like
You
I
need to
said
take
that. Okay, we're not gonna go down like, but I always said like, even if I'm married for 40 years, like, we're getting a paternity. Like, if you got nothing to hide, like, why are we mad?
First of all, if your wife having kids after 40 years, nigga, and we already in our 30s, I got other questions.
It's all right. It's like Moses in the Bible.
I got other questions. They're 71 having a jit. I got questions.
This may be a bad way to end my podcast, but I've always said all my kids are gonna be paternity tested. For one, it's mine. You don't got nothing to be mad about, but also just give me like the peace of mind. You know what I'm saying? So even if I'm married, even if I'm freaking, I don't know, we're getting a
I can
paternity test for
hear.
all my
He's
kids.
like, but if you trust me, why you got to worry about it?
Well, if you know that I trust you, then why are you afraid of taking it?
You're not gonna win that argument.
I mean, hey, me and the kids gonna go have a daddy Sunday, and then I'm gonna just do it. Like that's the thing that I don't even think I'm gonna tell them that I'm doing it.
Bro, you still had. I remember
Hey,
Joe used to say he wanted his girl got to propose to him. You still that school of thought.
Why you think I'm the only one on this podcast that's single?
why we catching strays out here?
all right. Damn.
Damn.
No, because like I'm trying to say, like that's the thing, bro. My theory in life is there's just so many people out there. Like, how are you gonna know who the person is? So, like, to me, whoever is willing to like let go of their pride and propose to me, and that's how I'm gonna know. That's how I'm gonna know.
It's your job.
What you want her to do? Get down on one knee?
like me.
Yeah, I always said I don't want a ring because I don't really wear jewelry like that. But she could be like a nice little steak dinner. I'll take it.
You want a bitch to propose to you at Roof Chris?
I'm not a bitch, a young woman.
He was like, but yes to Roof Chris. And I want a porterhouse and I want a medium well.
Dude.
Nah, but the older I get, I'm not letting that one. I am letting that one go a little bit. Like, obviously, I'm open to proposing, but like, it's going to have to be something special, and I ain't felt that yet. So,
Really?
Yeah, when
this
you know,
means I'm gonna
they
make that
say.
money. But yeah,
Muted, Thomas.
what?
Thomas said somebody muted.
Muted.
I said, when you know, you know. That's all. That's
You're right.
Hey, mostly when you know, unless you don't know, and then you're Thomas.
On that note,
Hey, on that note, yeah.
Damn.
On that note, man. Hey, appreciate y'all stopping in, kicking it with us again for another episode of We All We Got podcast. Y'all know where to find us. Like I said before, we on Apple Podcasts, we on YouTube, we on Podbean. Link with us, like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure you keep up to date. We got a lot of other spicy topics coming up. I mean, next week. I ain't even gonna tell you what's coming next week. We want you guys to be surprised, but just know all the intros are done, and you guys have got an opportunity to get to know us a little bit. I'm gonna stop saying you guys. I'm gonna say you all have got an opportunity to get to know us a little bit more. So as you kind of follow our journey or go through the podcast with us, you can always kind of refer back and be like, "Oh man, I want to know a little bit more about this specific or particular person." You can go ahead and do that. But we're just gonna dive into other topics. Some, like I said, are gonna be related to PWIs. Some are going to be related to Geneva specifically. Some just going to be related to life and kind of like what we got going on. So just keep rocking with us. If you got any questions, like we mentioned before, we're on Instagram. We're on TikTok, and we got our email out there. So if there's specific topics you want us to cover, if there's specific questions you got for us, hop in there. If you want to be a special guest on our show, like Thomas Jit was, send us an email. Shoot us an email, hit us up in our DMs, and we'll do our best to kind of get you on there. But for now, it's getting late, so we out here. Peace.
1